I'm John Batchelor. Mary Kissel, the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, is here. Mary and I, all week long, very carefully look at the news and ask questions that allow us to go and anticipate where this is headed. It isn't just what happened yesterday. It's what this means for the themes we're developing. And the theme right now is the Affordable Care Act, the mystery of the Affordable Care Act from March of 2010. Each day, this is the gift that keeps on giving for what we do, Mary. There are surprises and revelations, and everything you assume that day gets blown up again tomorrow when you get facts, and then you go, gosh, did we know this? Are they keeping this from us? There's non-transparency at the Affordable Care Act. That is to say that the HHS, CMS, and the apparatus at the White House, who have access to the numbers of who's enrolled, who they are, who's worried, where the sites are working, they're not telling us anything. They only tell us what they absolutely must, and it's invariably good news unless it's Friday.
Or what they know, John.
What they know.
Which may not be everything.
Yes, that's right. Selective releases of information, not everything. They have told us, though, a very large number for the number of people who have enrolled in Medicaid. This is the part of the Affordable Care Act that's very difficult to see because they expanded the filter to allow people to apply and get access to Medicaid. They grew the number. I won't go into the numbers because the question here is, what have we learned from the 3.9 million who are said to qualify for Medicaid under the health law? That's the number, 3.9 million. We welcome Sean Trende, who is the senior pollster analyst, the senior political analyst for Real Clear Politics, because in a very bold fashion, Sean reasoned in a long column, you can link to it at Real Clear Politics and go to my site and it'll go right to Real Clear Politics, that the Medicaid numbers, 3.9 million, are, I don't want to characterize this undiplomatically, somewhat exaggerated. That's a modest way of saying
Very
this.
modest, John.
Sean, a very good evening to you. Somewhat exaggerated, purposeful or not. How much, Sean? What is your best reasoning so far?
If by somewhat exaggerated, you mean exaggerated by an order of 10, an order of magnitude?
Okay, Sean, yes. Yes, that's what I mean.
Then yes, somewhat exaggerated. I looked at the numbers a couple different ways. And I actually did a follow-up column on this, coming at the numbers from a completely different way. And both approaches led me back to about 400 to 500,000 Medicaid enrollees, rather than the 4 million that the administration is trying to claim credit for.
Okay, Sean. So first you looked at what states that did or did not actually expand the program. How did you work to that analysis?
That's right. Well, for the listenership, just in case, the Medicaid expansion was originally supposed to be for every state, but the Supreme Court ruled, no, you can't make every state do the expansion. A little more complex than that, but that's the basic idea. So states have the choice. Yeah. And CMS, the Center for Medicaid Services, I believe is what it stands for, the people who administer Medicaid, gave us helpfully the numbers, the enrollment numbers for October and November, broken down by the states that expanded Medicaid and the states that did not. And as it turns out, half of that 4 million enrollment number, half of those people come from states that didn't even undertake the Medicaid expansion.
Therefore, they don't have such a number. They couldn't have had such a number. This is a guesstimate? Is that how they arrived at it?
Well, no, they're just lumping it all together. They're saying 4 million people enrolled in Medicaid in the country in October and November, which is accurate. But then they're saying this all goes into the Obamacare number, which is ludicrous. Half of the people don't even live in states that did the Obamacare Medicaid expansion. Now, you can say, well, people heard about the Affordable Care Act in these states, and they went and they found out that they were eligible for Medicaid, and they didn't know it. They were previously eligible. And that's somewhat, that's certainly some of it, but if you look at what the initial estimates were for the so-called woodworker population, it was only going to be about 20,000 at the present rates of enrollment. So, no, the half of those people you can just write off to begin with.
What we're left with here is the question, was this representation purposeful? Was it meant to deceive us? Or is it because they arrived at this without debate? They didn't look at this in the way you did, Sean.
I think the people that know the Medicaid numbers that put this together had to know. Because that's not subtle. Half the states didn't expand. Not only that, but even in the states that did undertake the Medicaid expansion, CMS gave us the numbers who enrolled over the summertime before Obamacare was in effect, and they were nearly identical to the number of people who were enrolling in October and November. In other words, of those 2 million people in the states that expanded Medicaid, almost all of them would have enrolled anyway, because people are enrolling in Medicaid all the time. It's a 60 million person program.
I read the conclusion from the Washington Post story, which very much shadows Sean's story by Glenn Kessler within these last hours. Essentially, then, it is ridiculous to suggest, as the @Barack Obama tweet does, that the people who have selected a health plan in the exchanges are in any way equivalent to 3.9 to 4.2 million who were deemed eligible for Medicaid. The Washington Post then awards the @Barack Obama tweet 3 Pinocchios out of 4. That's down the runway towards deliberate falsehood.
Sean, has the White House commented to you or challenged your analysis?
No, and we keep Google alerts going on ourselves, so we always know if someone does a little bit of a hit job on us, which has been known to happen from time to time. And no one's really said anything to challenge these numbers so far, and they've been out for over, going on 2 weeks now.
I read that CMS says that it will not have numbers till the end of March, so they are promising to correct the record. I'm going out of my way to be diplomatic. You can both give me. You understand, Sean? I'm trying to hold back here. It looks like we've been misled, but I want to believe that there was confusion, that there was a rush. That this is the first time we've been through such a process.
Okay, I guess. No, CMS is going to release the numbers at the end of March, and look, a lot of people are going to eventually sign up for the Medicaid expansion. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That number will grow eventually to 1 million. But what's disturbing, as you say, is they're trying. The administration's strategy with this has always been keep the ball rolling. Let's get to the next milestone and hope we're still alive then, and then we get to the next one. And that's what they're doing here. They're putting out that 4 million number to try to make the program look like it's been a huge success to date, and the numbers just really don't support that.
The polling shows that the American people are not fooled. Gallup poll released within these last days that the Affordable Care Act is now only approved by 38% of the population. In addition, the president's approval rating is now down to 39% by Gallup. Sean's site, Real Clear Politics, averages all the polling together, so it's a little higher with the average. Am I correct here, Sean? I haven't looked in most recent, but it's higher on your grouped poll as opposed to the Gallup.
Yes, he's about 42%.
And that rules in. What's the deal with Rasmussen, Sean? What's going on with him? What has happened?
It has always had popular presidents low and unpopular presidents high. It's a tweak in its methodology, but I've never seen it quite as bad as it is right now.
It's peculiarly an outlier. Is that a problem for pollsters, or do you take that into account when you do these criticisms?
Well, you just have to. That's why we average it. I mean, at the end of the day, the Rasmussen number, which is a pretty extreme outlier right now, pulls our average up a point. So it has an effect, but it's not a huge effect when you average it out.
And the 3.9 to 4.2 million. You challenged it. Now Glenn Kessler and the Washington Post are challenging it. CMS has not commented. But I think Mary, is it reasonable to expect that CMS needs to retract that right away? We need transparency and candor from the administration.
Just going back to what I said at the beginning, it may not be that they're obfuscating. They may not actually know what the real number is. There's been such confusion, and this has been such a poorly handled, messy rollout with such poor systems behind the rollout that I wonder if they do actually know, and that's why they're not challenging you, Sean.
I want to be very cynical here, Mr. Trende. The 3.9 million to 4.2 for Medicaid, does that aberration call into question the 2.2 million they're told that enrolled in the Affordable Care Act? Do we have any reason to challenge that number?
Well, the issue with that number is those are people who have selected a plan. And so that's like when you go to Amazon.com in Christmas and you put a bunch of stuff in your cart, and then you say, well, I'll come back to it. And sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. It's not people who have paid for their plans. It's people who put them in the shopping basket. Two very different things.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Sean Trende at Real Clear Politics. Mary, we had news from CMS today, from the man in charge of telling us how many people signed up for the Affordable Care Act. You saw the news as well as I do. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never, ever know how many people have paid.
How much did it cost us to roll this program out, John?
Well,
how much?
we're starting at $500 million, and it's going up right now for this website alone.
The website alone.
The rest of it, I don't have that number. I can't possibly. They're spending money.
Can you imagine what would happen to us?
We'll never know.
We'll never
paid.
know.
Sean Trende.
Amazing.
Mary Kissel. John Batchelor. We know. This is the John Batchelor Show.